Welcome, everybody, to our Industrial Advisors podcast, our first one in 2021. So happy New Year to everyone. Our topic today is going to be national 2021 trends and predictions in the industrial space. And we are thrilled to have a great guest today, Pete Quinn, who is our National Director for Industrial at Colliers. What I love about Pete is not only is he one of the most knowledgeable guys in the industrial space, but he's highly entertaining, a lot of fun, and very highly decorated. Pete is a board member at the International Warehouse and Logistics Association. He is a board member of the Industrial Asset Management Council. In fact, he was the recipient of the IAMC Michael P. Hickey Award in 2019 and is an inductee at the Hall of Fame for Midwest Real Estate News. Pete, thanks for joining us. It's really great to have you here.
I'm very, very honored to be with the Dream Team as your first guest in 2021. So if I act nervous, it's because I am.
Right.
I think we forgot the most important job Pete has, but I don't know how many years you've been doing it, Pete. But Pete, you are the color commentary announcer for Purdue football. How long have you been doing that?
Well, when they first asked me, Matt, when I first got the call from Learfield Communications to ask me if I wanted to interview for that role, I called my wife, Susan, and told her about it. And she goes, "You're going to take it?" And I said, "Oh, honey, they'll never offer me that. I don't have any broadcast experience." But I said, if they offer it to me, I'll do it for 1 year so I can tell all my buddies I was on the radio, and next season will be my 30th year. So It's kind of funny how life works. I wasn't going to do it at all. And I've been doing it I've done it for 29 seasons, and I'm looking forward to the 30th.
That is awesome. Now, I was looking ahead at your schedule next year. As you know, Bill and I are alumni of Michigan State University, who is playing you guys, and Vegas Oz has us predicted to win by 42, which was a little bit.
I'll take that bet right now. No, but you did mention something. I want to tell you and Bill this because I tell your story a lot. And I find your story a fascinating one and a motivating one. But as successful as you and Bill have been, you're one of our top brokers year in and year out. And despite that, the fact that you young families working in unprecedented times, producing at an amazing rate, and the fact that you took the time to get a master's in supply chain and logistics, just to me is one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard. And I tell that to every young broker that I talk to. In order to get to the level that you want to get to, you got to mirror the people that are there. And I tell your story a lot. That's one of the more impressive things I've seen in the 30 plus years I've been in the industry. So I congratulate you both on that.
Thanks a lot, Pete. It's been like double duty for me because I've really had to carry Matt through that. And as you know, I carry him through the brokerage business as well. So it's really been on my shoulders, but appreciate you saying that.
Well, that truly is impressive. And really, I think speaks to not just you, but there's a lot of stories like that with Colliers professionals, how they go above and beyond. And when people ask me what's the difference between Colliers and our competitors, I always start with our brokerage professionals because they do things. It's so critical in today's environment, so much uncertainty going on in 2020 and beyond. And I know we're going to talk about the election and the impact the election is going to have on business. And right now it's just at best an educated guess.
Sure.
And we can talk about that. But I think the one consistency that we can talk about with people like the two of you, plus a lot of our other professionals, is we're going to do the best that we can to stay as educated as we can, stay on top of things, because things are moving at lightning speed right now. And our clients have never needed us more. So it's good to have professionals like you to help our clients through these times, because we don't know what's going to happen in 2021. I will tell you that given the travel restrictions that I'm faced with, you guys know me well enough to know that sitting behind a desk 9 hours a day is not how I'm wired.
That's right.
And so I'm so anxious to get back out there. And I haven't been able to go to board meetings with IMC or IWLA. We haven't been able to have our conferences. I'm going to do our absolute best to have our conference, our Colliers Industrial Conference in Nashville in October. And I'm very excited about that. But in the meantime, one of the positives that have come out of this is everybody's so accessible. And on a daily basis, I will start every day early and get all my ducks in a row and plan my day out accordingly, do my follow-ups. But I'll have on average 8 to 12 scheduled calls a day that can range from podcasts to webinars to one-on-ones. And then in between those calls, I reach out to people and I reach out to brokers, brokerage professionals. I reach out to clients. I reach out to Colliers management. And so I talk to, in a typical day, I might have 40 conversations. So today I talked to the CFO of Becknell, Matt Cohout. I talked to the client care leader for Prologis, Mike Curlis. I reached out to Stacy, Bill McGee, and I asked them what they see. And because the opinions I'm going to give you are not my opinions, I'm talking to a lot of people. And most of the people I talk to overwhelmingly think they're very optimistic about 2021. They all acknowledge that the election is going to change things. I think we're more than likely going to see some regulations that we didn't have before. We're going to see. We have to understand what they are,
Sure.
learn how to work with them. I think most people are very, very bullish about 2021. And the biggest concern that I'm hearing from our brokerage professionals and our clients right now is lack of inventory, which if you do what we do for a living, if that's the biggest concern, that's not a horrible thing. So our brokers right now are spending a lot of time trying to identify opportunities as far as where to build the facilities. And so we're very, very busy now.
You bet. And I think that's a good place to start. 2020 e-commerce hit levels that they weren't supposed to hit until 2025. And we saw a lot of huge deals get completed. It was really kind of, in my opinion, the year of the big deal. Do you see that trend continuing into 2021?
I do, and I've got a little bit of science to back that up. You're right. The e-commerce grew exponentially this year, much more than any of us would have anticipated, particularly back in March and April. But it's still really in its infancy, and there's more and more companies trying to figure out a way to be part of that solution. They want to be part of e-commerce. So Amazon obviously is leading the way. Everybody knows what Amazon's doing. Every call I'm on, they talk about it. But there's a lot of other companies that want to become Amazon-like that are really now just exploring it. So there are a lot of companies that historically haven't been e-commerce big box type of users that are going to be getting into that space. And we've got the expertise to help them. But I think it's going to grow significantly in 2021. And even with the anticipated changes in our tax structure, changes in the Green New Deal, I got to be honest, that scares me. What's that mean? We finally were energy independent as a country, and it really helped the economy explode until COVID hit. The economy was at historic highs. We don't want to slow that down, and we'll work around the regulations and the tax structures, and we'll figure it out. The good news is everybody's going to be competing on the same playing field. It's going to be a very level playing field. So the companies that figure out how to work around everything and still produce, so the companies are going to come out winners.
Pete, you talk about, when you're talking to brokers, about inventories being a major problem, and we all agree, 2020 was the year of the big deal, as Bill said, and all of our clients are predicting that will continue in e-commerce. We're seeing that growth in, as you mentioned, Amazon and of course Walmart and Target and Home Depot and all of those type of large companies. But we're also seeing and saw in 2020 a trend that the small guys are getting crushed in this, and that there's plenty of inventory there in markets. So when you say that brokers are concerned about inventory, are you saying big box, large inventory concerns, or are you saying across the boards in industrial?
Predominantly big box, and it depends on your definition of big box. But
Sure.
I think that I'm going to say 500,000 square feet or greater. That's where we're seeing a very huge shortage. It's very concerning, and I want to address that further. But the other thing that we haven't talked about for the last 8 months, for obvious reasons, but before COVID hit, what was the number one concern? It wasn't inventory; it was labor. And I think that is going to become an issue again very, very quickly. So we have to keep our eyes on that, because our role as brokerage professionals is to help our clients achieve their goals, and we need to help them solve these problems. So instead of waiting for our clients to tell us and developers to tell us this is where we want to be, we need to be proactive, and we need to use our expertise and our knowledge to tell them where they need to be and help them get those deals done so that there is inventory and there is labor. And we're doing a lot of things at Colliers to get that done. I'm very proud of what we've been doing. My role is to make sure that I understand what the client's needs are. And Bill mentioned my relationship with IWLA and IMC. I'm going to expand my activity levels with work, Warehousing Education Research Council, and CSCMP, the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, because that's where our clients are too, and that's where they're getting their knowledge. So we want to make sure that we understand what their issues are so we can help them solve those issues. So we've got our work cut out for us in 2021, but I remain bullish about next year.
Pete, you have a full-time job with being on as many boards as you're on. I don't know how you do both roles, but it keeps you completely plugged into what's going on. You know, one of the things that's really trending right now is the development of the multi-story warehouse. You know, 4 or 5 years ago, if someone would have said, hey, multi-story warehouses are going to become the norm in a lot of the infill markets, you would have probably said they were crazy. But we're seeing it in Seattle, we're seeing it in California, we're seeing it in New Jersey. You know, I think we're going to continue to see that. What are your thoughts on the multi-story trend?
I don't think that story's been told yet. I think it's still in the experimental stage. And I understand the concept. Europe it's very, in Asia and Europe, that's not unusual to see multi-story distribution centers, but we have something they don't. And that is we have room to expand still. And I think what might curtail developers going all in for that is labor is going to be a big issue, as we talked about. So spreading those facilities out more and going to markets. One of the pieces of advice I give to some of our clients is look at some of these markets that historically haven't been big box markets, but the way we deliver product to our clients right now, if they've got labor, it might be worth looking at some of these tertiary, secondary markets because of the labor component. And we've got plenty of ground in the United States. That's not what we're lacking. Right now, companies are very, very interested in understanding their networks. And there's a lot of companies trying to optimize their networks right now. And three things are driving that. One is obviously cost reduction. How can we get product to the consumers at a reduced cost, stay cost competitive, improving customer service? You know, people are used to getting things next day, if not same day now, and that's not going to go away. And positioning the company for the future. So companies are looking at those three things, trying to answer those questions, and they're coming up with different answers. And the companies that are the most innovative at solving those three things are the companies that come out as winners. And again, we have to help them do that. I think we have an advantage over a lot of our competitors because we're so strong industrial wise in so many different markets. We can get information very, very quickly, but we're trying to help solve those problems on a daily basis, and understanding those problems is the first step.
You know, another area that I'm curious to get your thoughts on are, you know, you mentioned some of the secondary market, tertiary markets. We certainly are seeing, I think you mentioned it on a call a few months ago, you know, industrial's become the prettiest girl at the dance. And there's so much demand from groups that are already in the industrial space to continue to grow their portfolios. But you also have now a lot of groups that have been in office or multifamily that have shifted now and also want to play in the industrial space. I wonder how that is going to impact kind of the demand for the secondary markets.
I think that companies are going to be looking for any advantage they can to solve one of those three problems that they have. A lot of them have at least two of them. How do we get the product more efficiently, more cost effectively, and quicker? And that's going to be part of the solution is to go into markets that have the proper labor, the way that the truck routes are working right now, and logistics is working right now. You can pretty much deliver from anywhere in the United States. So we're starting to see it already. We're starting to see the biggest problems, the cost of some of these Southern California, for an example. No matter how high the cost, you've seen the cost there. They're sticker shock. If one of your clients hasn't done a deal there in the last year, they're going to be a little bit stunned when they get out in the market and they see what the costs are. If a company can figure out how to deliver the product just as quickly from, let's say, a Reno and get over the state line and get rid of some of the high taxes and some of the regulations that exist, they're going to do that. So we're really taking a hard look at how we can deliver that product out of the tertiary markets in an efficient manner. It used to be the big problem with being in tertiary markets is the empty trucks. They go out full, but there's nothing to bring back. But because there's so much activity in their tertiary markets now, that problem's starting to solve itself.
That's right. And speaking of secondary, tertiary markets, Pete, with COVID, you had so many people now deciding, gosh, I don't have to live right in the city. I can move out and live in rural areas and work on Zoom. Get us to the end of 2021. What are you hearing? Past the vaccines, what do you think the bounce back is going to be in the end? Are people going to be able to do that? Are they going to be able to work from home, or are you going to see a pushback to office like communities and people going back to their regular mode of working and transportation? What do you forecast by the end of 2021 related with that?
I don't think it'll ever go back to pre-COVID because we have learned a lot. I will tell you this, I get a kick out of it. If you ask 90% of the people if they're as efficient or more efficient being remote, 90% of them will say yes. I'd say 30% of them are probably telling the truth. I think you lose something being remote. Now,
Agreed.
there are some positives. I'll tell you some positive things that are coming out of COVID. There are a few. One of them is it used to be a badge of honor, and I was as guilty of this, more guilty than most people. I can tell you examples of me getting on a plane literally with bronchitis and pneumonia to tough it out and to go to some other market. That ain't going to happen anymore. If you're sick, you're going to respect other people's health. You're not going to do that. That's a good thing. We're all washing our hands more. We're going to be smarter. And I do think some people can work remotely. And one big change, I've taught some fashion of sales training for 30 years. And one of my first lessons is the only time you get a client or a prospect on the phone is to schedule face-to-face. You cannot sell over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw that one out the window. You can sell over the phone. We made some of our biggest deals this year without ever meeting in person. And so people have learned how to do business. It's acceptable in business to win business over the phone now. So I think it's going to be a combination. I think there's still value being in a room together. I miss my team. I normally work out of the Indianapolis office. I haven't really been there since March. In fact, I'm not even in Indianapolis. I moved down we have a home in Naples. I came down to Naples the day after Christmas, Naples, Florida, and I'm staying here till May because as long as I'm working remotely, I might as well do it where it's 75 degrees instead of 25.
For sure.
And I'm extremely efficient, but I want to get back on the road. I want to get face to face with our clients. I want to touch the product. I want to see it and feel it and smell it. So I think we will get back to some sort of normal, but I think there's always going to be a space now for remote working.
Pete, by the way, you got a great tan going as well. I want to compliment you on that.
I earned it.
Yeah.
I worked hard at it.
It's funny you mentioned we've learned how to do business differently. And on my Facebook feed today, it was 1 year ago, I was with my son, Cameron, for his birthday. We took him to the Green Bay Seattle Seahawks playoff game. Didn't go the right way for the Hawks, but it just got me thinking how much has changed over the year. And our team, for example, had a pitch towards the end of the year that was Zoom, right? We wanted to go see the client, but we can't right now. And so I think everybody, to your point, has adapted. You can do Zoom, pitches. Everyone's adjusted, and it's been great to see people adjust and find ways to be successful. One of the things I wanted to ask you before we move on, a couple markets that you think are going to be the most active across the country. You hear a lot about Dallas and Houston. Are there any markets in 2021 that are going to stand out in your opinion?
I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. Prior to COVID, we saw the port cities on the East Coast, the Southeast Coast, really start exploding. Savannah is an example that can handle the big boats, but I think the Southeast ports will still be busy. The historically busy markets aren't going to change because we still have the one thing that you can't duplicate, and that's population centers. So the Northeast, the I-81 corridor, Southern California, those are all still going to be very, very busy. But I think that the Southeast ports are starting. They've seen a lot of activity. I think that's going to continue, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. And that's one thing that I feel it's my role to do is study everything that's going on and trying to anticipate how this is going to impact our clients so that we can convey that information on the brokers can convey that information on the clients, because the only thing we know, the only certainty we know is there's going to be change, and we will figure out how to be as efficient and as successful as possible given the changes. So it's inevitable. Would have changed either way, no matter who won the election. But we just have to watch it closely and make sure that we're doing the best, whatever's in the best interest of our clients, and we'll do that.
Well, Pete, we just want to say thank you so much. Pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your 2021 predictions. We'll recap it at the end of the year for sure and let you know what you were right and wrong on. Go ahead, Bill.
And then, Pete, here's a really important question for you. So I made a prediction on our last podcast that the Seahawks were going to beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, and I was wrong. I'd like to get your Super Bowl prediction.
I have a hard time right now trying to determine who's real and who's not. I really thought that the Bills were overrated. I thought the Colts were going to handle the Bills, and they didn't. They lost. You can't help but let your personal prejudices into the things like that. I still predicted Purdue would win the national championship in football.
You have for 30 years, I think.
And we're 2-4, so that shows you how well I know. But I think quarterback position is such a powerful position and has such a huge impact. And I have learned, even though he was our biggest antagonist, I've learned not to doubt Drew Brees, and I've learned not to doubt Tom Brady. So I think the winner of that game is going to be my pick for the Super Bowl champions.
I love it. I'd love to see that. Both those guys are winners and class acts, and it'd be good to see them go out on top.
I would love to see Drew, just because he's just got the one. Brady's getting a little bit greedy. I think. What's he got? 6 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah. That
So
Purdue
maybe
connection.
Maybe it's time for Drew to get a second, but I like those two teams because of their leadership.
You bet. Well, Pete, you're awesome, man. We appreciate you spending the time with us. Appreciate how much you're engaged with occupiers and owners, and the great perspective that you have. So appreciate you, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
It was an honor, guys, and I truly mean it. Thanks for all you do for Colliers. You're consistently in our top 10. You lead in so many different ways, and you're such great leaders for this organization. You're one of the reasons Colliers is as successful as they are, and I truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, guys.